Hi, welcome to Sponsorship Talk with Roberta Vigilance. This podcast is all about sponsorship, getting to know what sponsors want, people who engage with sponsors. Let me introduce you to today's guest, Mr. John Kremer. He is the author of 1001 Ways to Market Your Book. I'll let John introduce himself, tell you more about him, and then we'll jump into the discussion with his relationship with sponsorship. John, welcome.
Hi, thanks, Roberta. So, I've worked with people that have sold over 1 billion copies of their books. And I think that that's really a neat thing to have happen with the people that you're working with. Um, just as you would probably be happy if people got $1 billion worth of sponsorships or something like that. Um, so anyway, I help people to sell books. And in the process, I've done some sponsorship activities.
Yeah. Well, let me just say, absolutely. If I can bring in $1 billion dollars of sponsorship, whether it's just one deal or different deals coming together, that would be great because it means that we've made a great impact. We've helped people achieve their goals. So
Right.
I know those, yeah, absolutely. And I just want to say for the record, I met John. I reached out to John. It was sometime in maybe 2008, I believe, 2009. Not sure how we came together, but I know that it was in my inbox and I reached out, or I saw him and he reached out to him, and that's how he got into my inbox. But I tell you this story that I reached out to John and he gave me the hardest task whatsoever. The reason I reached out to him, obviously, he's an expert in book marketing, right? And he has a 1001 ways to market your book. Now, I believe you should go pick that copy up because I have a copy myself. And as an author, there's so many different strategies, methods you can use to gain visibility as well as we all want. The bottom line, sales, right? For to sell our books. So I reached out to John, and this is after I wrote my first uh, edition of How to Secure Sponsors Successfully. Um, was not an author, didn't plan on being. I just wanted to share this information of how to secure sponsors and decided to put it in a book. And John, I don't know if you know this story or not, right? But so John says, sure, I'll share your book with my network. What I need you to do is write a 600 word uh, article. I kid you not, John, that was the hardest task ever. Okay. And I've just written a book with a lot of words in it, but 600 words. When I say it was hard, and we didn't have ChatGPT at that time, or you could throw anything in, it just all came from within. And when I told you I wrote exactly 600 words, it was exactly 600 words because you put it in Word document and it counted for you. It was 600 words or characters. And we still have that article, and you can find it just John Kremer, Roberta Vigilance. You put those two names in, it should come up. I don't know, John, if there's a better way to find that article.
I'm sure there is, but I'd have to find it first.
Yeah, and you're super. You're great with technology too. Learned that. I realized when I put Roberta Vigilance in with author, your name comes up. So that's great. So, John, tell us about your relationship with sponsorship as a book marketing expert.
Yeah, when I did I think it was the third edition of my 1001 Ways to Market Your Books, I decided I'd have sponsors. So I invited different people that I knew that were service providers, uh, graphic designers, editors, publicists, book printers, distributors. Those were some of the people that I invited. And I said, if you write an article for me up to 2 pages long, about 500 pages, I gave them the same exercise to do as you. I said, I want a useful article that relates to what you do, and then I will feature, your name, contact information, and what you do at the end of that article. And I ended up getting, I think it was around 30 sponsors the first time I did it. And they each paid, at that time, I think it was $1,000 each. But
Amazing.
the really neat thing about it is that allowed me to print 10,000 copies of the book, which is what I promised them they would get exposure. And so
Okay.
I actually printed 10,000 copies of the book and distributed them and sold them. And they were happy, I was happy, and the users were happy because they got good content, because I edited the articles that people wrote. So, I knew it would be good content. And it also exposed them to some service providers that I had given a stamp of approval to. So the
Right.
service providers not only got exposure in the book, but they got my stamp of approval as a book cover designer that I like, something like that. And so it worked out well for them. It worked out because I think the articles and the exposure of the service providers to my readers helped the readers.
Yeah.
So I thought it was a win-win-win all the way around.
It sounds that way. Now let's go back a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's unravel this, right?
Oh,
So
yes.
so you had about 40 sponsors in your book. Each
30.
30. You had 30 sponsors in your book. Each one you charge $1,000. Now if I can add, that's $30,000,
Right.
right? So before we even get to the sponsorship, before we get to the money, I would like to know what I would like to start with the mindset. How did you decide, okay, let me get sponsors for my book? And then you went through bringing the relationships. I will believe you had the relationships and
Right.
converting those relationships into partnerships, into a sponsorship partnership. So if you could just take us from the very beginning when you just said, let me get sponsors because this is your third edition. Why not the first? Why not the second? How did this come about? Right.
Well, why not the first and second? Simply because I hadn't thought to do it. But by the third edition, I wanted to showcase how you could get sponsors for a book. So I wanted to use my book as an example for the reader of what a sponsorship might look like. It's just one example. And so I chose to do it by having them sponsor articles that they wrote, the sponsors. And that way they contributed some good content to my book, but it also provided them the exposure that they would want. But
Right.
I wanted to give it again as a working example of what you can do with your own book to get, to get more income from the book even before you publish the book.
Yeah. And then in your book, one of those ways, of the 1001 ways, is to get sponsorship, is
Right,
to bring a sponsor in your book. And I know with how to secure sponsors successfully, my third edition, I learned about that's when I learned about, start to hear about bulk ordering, people purchasing. I didn't know anything about this. No one
right.
taught me this stuff. And that's when I learned that okay, I can get a sponsor to buy my book in bulk. And I've gotten that in exchange for the money that I receive is to place that sponsor in the book, and then they gave the book to their members. So that is brilliant.
Well, can I add something there? I
Yes.
did offer to all the sponsors, like I said, I'll give you a case of books.
Uh-huh.
So, and the case, because the book is a big, thick book, so a case is 12 books.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I sent a case to each one of the sponsors. And the neat thing is, of course, they gave them away. So the word of mouth started to generate right away because they were giving the books away to their customers. Other people were saying, wow, I want that book. And they had to go buy it because the sponsor's already out of their 12 books. But
That
I did that with all the sponsors, at least for the first, that third edition. I don't know if I did it for future editions, but I did do it for that one so that they had copies to give away.
Yeah, that's the beauty. That's the long term, right? Because we look at some people, the industry, it's like superficial, right? With numbers. I mean, numbers are real. We need numbers, but
Yeah,
12 books. When you look at the touch point, right? 12 books probably sold. I don't know what's the number. If it sold 50 or 100 or how many more is that touch point,
yeah.
right? Someone else tells someone else about the book. What I would like to know is, was there a strategy behind it? So you give a box of book, a case of books,
Yeah.
right, to each sponsor. Did you have a plan that said, well, to track like what happened after, or did you just give it and just
It,
kind of
it
move
it
on?
wasn't an easy thing to track. What did each sponsor do with the books? Um, and so I did not try to track it, but
Okay.
I do know that all the sponsors did give out the copies they had at some point in the lifetime of the book.
Yeah.
And I know that it did cause word of mouth, which is the primary way to sell books anyway. So the more people that were talking about the book, the more likely it is that I would sell more copies.
The greatest thing about history is preserving that moment, your story, and the best way to do that is how within a book, right? The
Right.
timeless pieces. So that sponsor will then live on forever. Some get it and be like, yes, I want to live on forever. Let me place myself in the book. Like they're not authors. So you use authors to get into the book. That storyline matches their brand,
Yeah.
image, story, etc. Now, were you being that strategic, or did you just use your relationships to get sponsorship?
Well, I did use my relationships to get sponsors.
Okay.
So the sponsors that and they were only people or companies that I actually would want to be associated with my book. Obviously, I don't want to pick up somebody that will pay me 1,000, but the message doesn't match my book or their activities don't match my book. So
Okay.
I was careful that, I didn't want my book to be colored by any kind of, wrongness that one of the service providers got involved with for whatever reason. So I didn't approach any scammers. I didn't approach anybody that doesn't do a good job with their service, things like that, because I wanted it to actually enhance my book, not draw away from it.
Alignment is very important. I
It
totally
is.
agree.
Well, and it's important for the sponsor as well as for the person that's being sponsored.
Yeah, and the
Because
readers as
sponsor,
well,
yeah,
because they're trusting you. They're trusting you to give them a good product.
yeah,
So if you bring in a partner, a sponsor it, that that doesn't match what you really believe in, like show me your sponsor and tell me who you are, kind of thing,
yeah,
then you can lose trust in readers. So yeah,
yeah.
alignment
And I
is
didn't want to use, I wanted it to be a trust enhancing rather than, being something that would cause problems down the road. So, and the neat thing is, all the sponsors I had, almost all of them re up for the next edition. And so it was easy to get sponsors for the next edition because I already had them. And all I had to do was say, "Do you want to be in the book again?"
Yeah. It was an
And,
easy yes.
and almost all of them said yes. I think there were a couple that were having financial difficulties or something and couldn't sponsor again. But I got a couple of new ones to replace them, so it worked out fine. The really neat thing is that for me, it meant that I basically got the books for free because it cost me $30,000 to print 10,000 copies because it's a big, thick book.
Yeah, you didn't have to come out of pocket.
It didn't have to come out of pocket, which was nice. And it meant that essentially every book I sold was total profit.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the beauty. So let me let me ask you this, right? What you know now when it when we're talking about book sponsorship compared to when you started, what would you have told your emergent self, right? The younger version of you, what would you have said to yourself? Anything, maybe just you did a good job, or I could have done it this way, or
Well, the first thing I would have told myself is make it 2000. It's one of the things that we as authors, we so often undersell our value.
do.
And I essentially did that with that. I should have charged 2000.
I
And
mean,
I would have gotten them to pay.
yeah, you can charge really whatever it is that you want once you return value to that sponsor.
Right.
I always see people think I'm probably wonky for this, but I always say start with the amount that you ask for. So that $1,000 return $1,000 in value and then pivot. That way the sponsor doesn't lose anything because they made back their thousands. And sometimes sponsors don't return because what I've learned is that internally something changed, whether it's their
Right.
identity or whatever. So you're no longer aligned. So they say no, and that's okay as well. So go for you. You were able to attract more sponsors. And what one of the things that I truly believe in is keep your sponsors. If you're good at staying in contact and you can prove that you provided value, like keep the relationship, I agree, and keep your sponsors so you don't have to look every time for new sponsors. Let new sponsors be new money or let it replace a gap, right?
Yeah. And most of the sponsors I already knew from attending different conferences and conventions. I'd met them. So I knew all of them by face. They knew me. They knew what I did. They knew my previous editions of the book and how well they were received. So it wasn't hard to convince them. Now, if you don't have those relationships, then you have to figure out a way to build them. Fortunately, I had those relationships,
Yeah.
but
And I'm
I didn't create the relationships to sell sponsorships.
right.
They were just relationships, people I liked, people that were doing good work, and I respected what they were doing.
And they're aligned with your 1001 ways to
Right.
market. They're aligned with marketing and books.
Yeah.
On the other side of the spectrum, a lot of people say, well, I'm first time I'm writing in a book. I'm a nobody. I don't have a following. I don't even know how to write a book. And that's where, that's the side that I'm on. Started from ground zero, everything ground zero. From again, didn't want to be an author. I just wanted to share the information of how you secure sponsors. This is what you do, this is how it works, and this is what you do. Just fling it in a book. That's all, put it in a book. I didn't know how to organize a book, and this is your area of expertise.
Yeah.
Um, you should have seen my first book. Oh my gosh, the grammar was off, just like I speak at times. The grammar was off, and I had to hire an editor to fix to clean things up when it came, in the third edition, second edition, and the one. All my books now they're cleaned up. Um, so
Well,
With that,
my first few books were typewritten and typeset by typewriter.
love it. I
And
love that.
only when I came out with 101 Ways did I work with a typesetter.
That's
And so I
amazing.
was writing the book and bringing the 10 pages I'd write every day to the typesetter. They'd typeset it. I'd proofread it the next day and give them the next 10 pages. So it was like that because the first edition was only 320 pages. Now, to you, that's still quite a few pages.
Yeah, my book is under 100 pages, like 92, 3, some 4. I mean, 94, something like that.
Yeah.
6.
So, you know, it was, but I had to get the book done because I had promised it by a certain time. I pre-sold it also. The first edition, I pre-sold it to over 1,000 people.
That's
So they gave me the money, and then I published the book. So I had to deliver at a certain time because I had promised it.
Yeah, talk about being ethical, being trustworthy, and that's why you can build these relationships for them to say yes. And if you don't, it's okay. If you don't know anyone, if you don't have a relationship, if you know a lot of people and they don't align with your story, with your doing, then start from ground zero. Find the ones that do, reach out to them, and secure them as your sponsors, convert them into your sponsors.
Well, to me, any author that's writing a book at some point should be in that market. In other words, if they're writing a book about cats, they should love cats.
Yeah, of course.
And so then they should know the cat sites and the cat,
Yes.
the cat groups on Facebook and LinkedIn and so on. So they already had the beginning of a sponsorship because, you can go to your cat group and say, I'm writing a book about cats. I'm looking for sponsors. If there's anybody here that's a veterinarian, designs clothes for cats, sells cat food, whatever.
Yes.
I'd love for them to sponsor my book. Please contact me. I mean, it's perfectly okay to do something like that because, when I did the first sponsorship, not only did I write to specific people, but I also wrote an email to my entire list, which at that time was around 10,000. And I told them, look, I'm looking for sponsors for this book. If you'd like to sponsor, I think I got one or two sponsors that way. But again, they're just people I had forgotten about. I forgot that I should have contacted them directly. And so then they ended up sponsoring the book as well. So, you
It is
know,
a
you
process.
can put it out to your social networks. You can put it out to any groups you belong to, and you should belong to groups. If you're working in any area, you should be part of some groups and interact with them. That I believe is strongly. Obviously, I don't always do it with every book that I do, but that's part of what you want to be involved in, so that people get a chance to know you. And again, it's not, buy my book, buy my book, buy my book, or, I'm writing a book, be ready for it, things like that. It's just simply, you make friends through your social networks, through your email newsletter, through your podcast, etc. And that becomes the basis for whatever growth you want, both in
That's
terms of selling the book and in terms of getting sponsorships.
that's a great piece of gem that I know that I can use myself because for me, I'm on to the next one. I did the book and I'm like, okay, this is who it's for. And I follow all of the gurus on the internet that say do it this way and do it that way, and then get burned out. And then I'm on to creating something else that would
Yeah.
allow my industry and even my customers to become better at securing sponsors. And even talk to those who, again, they don't have the relationship. And I think that piece of advice that you've just given to be part of something within your network, it can help not only with the sponsorship part, but it can help build your confidence and help you, mentally as well to be amongst your peers.
Yeah.
And, just on the other side, if it's not a healthy environment, if you're around your peers and it's just isn't working, and just extend yourself. So when we talk about that sponsorship, if it's you're writing about cats, you can have, for example, more than one company, cat food company within your book. Just find out what's the difference. So you may have one chapter, or if you put in the cats in the story, you can have one chapter vegan cat food, and then the other type of cat food, or one in one area of town and then the other. So you can have multiple sponsors within the same industry. So if one doesn't work out for you, go somewhere else. Just don't think that it's over,
Right.
right?
And I had one friend, Dominique Ricard. She does Sourcebook Trade, which is the top independent publisher in the country now. But she started off as financial source books. And basically, every book she published had a sponsor. It was all in the banking industry, and she had relationships there. So she would not write a book or get somebody to write the book until she had the sponsor. So the sponsor came first.
Yeah,
Then she wrote the book, put their name on the book, and it became the Bank Marketing Institute presents and the book. So they were the sole sponsor, but she was making money before she published any book.
that's good. And she knew exactly what her story was. It was financial, and then she went out and got those financial.
And
Um,
from that basis, she built up Sourcebook Trade, which is a general publisher, which is her real passion. And she's made it into a very successful company with,
Hopefully.
I don't know, at least a dozen New York Times bestsellers, probably more than that.
Wow. Now, I'm not going to ask if you had anything to do with that, because I know you have, quite a few people. And when you look again, 1,001 ways to market your book, we can always take something. There's something in there for someone, right? And I want to go as far
Absolutely.
as for everybody, because right. So, John, anything you want us to know about you, where we can find your book, and any last insights about your working relationship with sponsors?
Yeah. Well, you can find me at bookmarket.com. And that same URL goes to my other, the same website, bookmarketingbestsellers.com. Those are the two, URLs that go to the same place, basically. So that's the same website. And you can find out what else I'm doing and the things I'm creating. I would really like it if people went to bookmarket.substack.com to sign up for my newsletter.
Okay.
But they can do it at bookmarket.com as well. It's up
Absolutely.
in the top right hand corner, so it's easy to find. But, the key thing I think for most authors is that as you're writing the book, start to create relationships. Join the groups that are targeting your audience. On Facebook and LinkedIn, they both have incredible number of groups. Start creating some videos in a channel on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram, wherever you feel most comfortable. You don't have to own every social network, but you should have at least one that you're really good at. At one point for me, that was Pinterest, and I loved it. And I actually created a course on Pinterest. So, because I was getting millions of views there.
Mm. Let me guess what the book was about. Book, book marketing?
Well, no, actually, one of the books that got me a lot of attention on Pinterest was somebody else's book, but I wrote about it. It was, I can't remember the title right now. It was a guy who was a fitness expert on one of the weight loss programs on NBC, I think. I'm
Okay.
going blank on his name, but
That's
he wrote a book, and I liked it, so I created a graphic promoting his book, and that got over 4 million views over about 6 month period, and
that
all of it traffic went to my Amazon affiliate link, and then onto his book.
amazing. Amazing. So that's why they call you the book marketing expert. So, so that 1001 ways to market your book is one of your strategy, and you just shared another one. And there's so many ways not only to market your book, but to gain visibility as an author. Um, there are many ways. And is there
Well,
anything?
it's like each social network has their own specific audience.
Yeah.
LinkedIn is more of a professional audience. Instagram is very visually oriented. So is Pinterest. The thing I like about Pinterest versus Instagram is that Pinterest allows you to link to direct pages selling something for every graphic you put up on Pinterest. And so I like that. Plus, their audience is more buyers, I think, than Instagram. But Instagram right now probably has more influence in the culture. So you choose where you want to go, or do you want to do TikTok? I mean, that's a hot video platform right now. But is an old fogey like me going to do well on TikTok that's addressing, 16-year-olds and 20-year-olds? I
We
don't
don't
know.
know.
I'm on TikTok, but I haven't, probably my main images probably got 500 views, something like that. But, nothing major, but not bad.
Not bad. I'm not tech savvy. You see this my screen right now, it's blurred, and I played around with the fade, and I am not her. I am no tech savvy. What you see here, this is what you found. I'm going to continue to mess around with it until I outsource this service. Um,
It's, you have to make choices all the time. So for me, TikTok, LinkedIn are not that important, even Instagram. I'd rather do YouTube and Pinterest, or and what I should do more of right now is Rumble.
so you
A
saying you
lot of
must.
people think Rumble is just all politics, but it isn't. There are, hundreds of dog videos on there. There's
Oh,
hundreds of cooking demonstrations. But there's not thousands or millions like there is on YouTube. So you're competing in a smaller pond, but it's a pond you can grow into. YouTube nowadays, what is it? They probably get 1 billion visitors a day. It's really hard to stand out in YouTube, even if you've got good content.
and that is true. It's I've been talking about sponsorship for such a long time, and when you look at the views, it's to me the numbers are so small compared to if I were to do a funny video.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you. Are you saying that you must choose a digital platform? You must do something online because again, it's you see my background, and if you go see some of my videos, I'm talking like this. So it's not for everyone. But are you saying that we need to choose one instead of none?
Well, if it's a choice between one and none, yes, absolutely choose one.
What if we're not tech?
But I would suggest that most authors, check out every major platform that they think their audience is using. Now, if
Okay.
you're writing a book for older people or a history book, you're probably not going to be on TikTok. You might not even be on Instagram, but you probably should be on LinkedIn because there's probably a lot of historians there and history lovers. You might think about, okay, should I be doing videos? In which case, it's either YouTube or Rumble. Probably those are the two main choices. And if I was doing history, I'd probably be on Rumble now rather than YouTube.
So push past your fear, push past your discomfort, and get on one of those
At
platforms.
least one,
Okay. All right.
and probably only focus on one or two where you put most of your attention. So right now, for me, it's YouTube and Facebook. I do things on Twitter, but I don't really see a response. Now I have friends that have great responses on YouTube. So I mean on Twitter. So they are X.
Yeah.
Should call it by its new name. Uh, I still like Twitter better than X, but that's me.
Yeah.
Uh,
Thanks for
but
everyone.
it's something that you try out different platforms and you see which ones really work well for you. The
Yeah,
thing I
they
like about Pinterest is really all about how to.
how to.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff is how to
Really?
travel, cooking, home decor, fashion, things like that. That goes really hot in Pinterest, and you can do very well there if you start to build up an audience.
I'm on Pinterest. And that's the thing. I'm on so many different platforms. I don't remember which ones I'm on. I don't remember all of the password. I think right now I'm locked out of my IG. This is my third time starting again on LinkedIn. Yeah, it's a lot of moving
I've
parts.
done that. I've done that too, so I understand, and that's because you learn over time. Okay, here's the ones I'm going to focus in on. They seem to be doing the best return for what I'm doing, and
Yeah.
that's how you have to figure it out. So I'm passively on things like LinkedIn and Instagram, but I'm not really that active.
Okay. Can you share your YouTube channel with us? What's the
Uh,
name of your YouTube channel?
it's YouTube/John Kremer,
Okay.
just like it's spelled there.
Okay. Good. Good, 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 good.
Right there.
So that's John, John, and Kremer, Kremer. If you are listening and you're not watching this video, John Kremer on YouTube. That's how you find John.
There's a neat thing that's going on now. Which platform is it now? That's Apple is now switching to supporting video podcasts,
Okay. Okay.
and I suspect that it's going to become a very hot platform for video very quickly.
Watch out, YouTube.
Yeah,
Yeah. Competition.
and Rumble. Watch out, Rumble.
Watch out, Rumble. Rumble's been around for a while. I believe I'm on Rumble as well. When I joined Rumble, or when I looked at Rumble, don't remember which one it is. It was a lot of, just as you mentioned, a lot of news, political, a lot of politics. And I'm like, this is not where I want to be. It was very busy.
But
Um,
it's like any other social network. If you start liking dog videos or cooking videos on Rumble, that's what they'll start to show you. And then if you sign up to follow any of those channels, that's what they'll show you. Facebook has it down to a science. If I click on something, whether it's an ad or an image, Facebook says, "Oh, more,"
yeah,
and shows me more of that. And Pinterest does the same thing. Pinterest will know right away what you're clicking in on. Even if you're clicking in on the emails they send you and you click on those images, they know it, they track it all.
yeah,
And then they show you more of that. So
yeah.
you can actually control what you see by training the social networks on what you like.
Makes sense. And that's the same way you can track the sponsorship return, whether it's ROI or something else. Is one simple way is placing a QR code in your book, and
Yeah,
then readers can easily, if it's print, they can easily scan it, and then they go to that sponsor page and have the experience with this sponsor. Or
yeah.
if it's an ebook, you put the link in there, and the same thing can
That's
happen.
an interesting thing. There was a time for about 5 years where QR codes weren't used at all. They had been very popular and then they just died. But they're coming back now. I see them in magazines and all the time and in ads. So
It's a
they're
great,
obviously working again, and they're producing results, so people are using them.
yeah, yeah. QR codes QR codes are good. When you use it, when you know how to use it. And I
Yeah,
think it's just a great tracking method. Um, great promotional tool for sponsors. Sponsors can tell who came to their website because of the book, because of
yeah.
whoever you're right, they can actually tell. And that's how you can go back and say, listen, I brought 600 people to you, or 6 million, whatever the number is, or 1 billion people to you, and show them proof. They might, have paid $10 million to gain access to 1 billion. Who knows? All right. So
It's
metric,
amazing what, sponsors will pay,
yeah.
social media stars. They get thousands and thousands of dollars just to tweet out something. And that's still happening, so it's not something that happened before, but it's still happening. Same with YouTube videos and Facebook posts and so on. People can track those things, and then they can decide, do I want to sponsor that's TikTok star?
I think things, to keep things simple is where we may be heading. And I don't know. Keeping things simple, meaning knowing your story, know who you're writing your book for. Now you're the book marketing expert here, and you can correct me when I'm wrong. Just speaking from my POV, my point of view, is keep things simple. Um, I remember someone I met when I used to visit my granddad in where he lived in the senior citizen place, and there was this man there, and he loved playing music, and he was just same around the same age group, but he was just all over, and he loved music, although playing, singing, performing for an audience. And one of his songs, or on his CD, he actually said it's like a slogan, is the kids method: keep things simple, stupid, or keep it stupid, keep it simple, stupid, something like that. The message pretty much said, just keep things simple when you're writing your book. Know what the message is, know who your target audience is, and then find a partner, find a sponsor, a brand, a product that is targeting your audience, and go to them and ask them for the sponsorship. Of course, you have to, everything in the middle, but that's really the process, is to keep things simple. Yeah. All right, John, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. Truly appreciate it. Thank you. And listeners, thank you for tuning in. Great topic today. You know where to find John, right? We go to bookmarket.com. That's bookmarket.com. Find John, follow up with him, ask him any questions. If you are an author and you have questions, please do reach out to John, but definitely pick up the book, 1001 Ways to Market the Book, and you'll get to see the sponsors who are in there. Okay. All right. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, continue to plan your events and secure sponsors. Take care.
Thanks.
Thank you, John.
Yep.